Well, hello, Salina First, and I am here with some good news, as you can see, on an update of returning to in-person worship. So this past week, your church council met, and we have developed a plan to return to in-person worship on Sunday, May 24th. Now, you may ask yourself, what's so special about Sunday, May 24th? Well, in reality, nothing really. It is a strategic date, but there's nothing too overly important about it. The reason it's strategic is because as we work with our custodial supplier, that's the date we believe we can get hand sanitizer, cleaning wipes, cleaning and disinfectant sprays so that we can clean our facility after each service well. We obviously can't open back up until we get a hold of those things. And so we need to make sure we're offering the cleanest possible space for you. So many of those things we used to just buy over at Walmart. Well, of course, you cannot get them in that kind of situation in the quantities we need. So we're working with 4U Office Supplies. They've been wonderful. They've assured us that we're going to get some of these things in, and so we'll be able to get those in and start worship then on the 24th. In addition, we're going to see more of Ohio opening up that previous week. So restaurants are now set to open on May 21st, and barbers and hair salons a week before that on May 15th. And so we see as much of Ohio begins to reopen, we feel it's important that it is time for the church to reopen. Now, as much as I wish we could reopen and just go back to life as it was on March 8th, we cannot do that. We need to, as I've been kind of using this analogy, merge back onto the highway and get up to speed. Frankly, for many of us, it might feel a little uncomfortable at first, coming into a space with many people. All of us have kind of been hunkered in, even if you've been working, except for our Walmart or grocery employees who are around hundreds of people every day, many of us have been kind of tucked into our homes, just kind of going out when we need to and avoiding large crowds. So coming into worship, we need to be mindful of that and kind of build up our tolerance for being around one another again, and of course do things as safely as possible. So one of the things we are doing in order to try and make that as safe as possible is we are going to go from one service to two services. Now, as you may know, before we had to shut down in March, our one service was getting very, very crowded. And many people didn't want to necessarily go to two services because it does indeed split the body at times we worship. But we believe now is absolutely the time to make that jump for not spatial concerns, but to make sure that we're spread out. To try and not have 250 people in one service, but rather 125 in two services split up, And so we are asking people with the last names of A through K to come to the 9 a.m. service, and then the rest of the alphabet to come at the 10:30 service. Why are we doing that? Well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do two services and then 25 people show up at the first service and 200 show up at the second. It defeats the purpose. Now, I understand that some of you might not like that. You'd rather pick, and I get that. And we don't think that it's going to be this way forever. But we're asking that you, to the best of your ability, stick to that. Now, some of you might have to change for one reason or another. We're not going to have Tyler at the door as a bouncer checking last names and telling you can't come in. We're just simply trying to return as best we can, and so dividing kind of up so that all can kind of worship, but we don't have to pack in our sanctuary, which I think we can all agree is good advice. We're going to just try that. And again, maybe a few weeks down the road we say, hey, go to whatever service you want. I don't know what the future looks like. We're going to just try and merge onto the highway. So one of the ways we're going to do that is at last names A through K at the 9 a.m. service, and the rest of the alphabet at the 10:30 service. In between the services, we will deep clean the building as best we can and wipe down the pews and door handles and spray things with disinfectant and make sure that we have as clean as surfaces as possible for you to return into. You're going to notice some different things when you return. We're not going to pass the collection plate for obvious germ reasons. We'll have collection boxes kind of in the lobby. We're going to change some elements of worship, at least at first, and try and maybe make it a little bit shorter so that we have time to clean in between services. In addition, the biggest thing you'll notice is at first we won't be offering Sunday school for adults. We won't offer nursery or child care for the little ones. and we won't be offering any Salina First Kids ministry. So, when you come to church, we are simply asking that if you do have children, they sit with you. Why are we doing this? Well, again, we're merging onto the highway. Kids struggle with social distancing because they're kids and they desperately miss their friends, right? And so just at least at first, we're asking families to kind of sit together in the sanctuary, and we know that that might create a little bit more noise. Let's just be grateful that we can come back into God's house and worship Him. But we believe that in the coming weeks and maybe months, we don't know the timeline exactly, we'll be able to open more wings of Salina First Kids Ministry and hopefully return to adult Sunday school as well. Now, for some of you that might have kids that get a little rowdy during service, we will have the fellowship hall set up, and the live service will be piped into this TV only into the fellowship hall. So if you come and, a couple of your kids are doing great, but one's just not having it that Sunday and you need to kind of sneak out to not be so disruptive, to sneak out, you can go to the fellowship hall and still watch service so you're not missing anything there. Speaking of live service, one of the things we know is that there will be people who are immunocompromised, who are in the high-risk categories, or who frankly don't feel comfortable coming back to church yet, that want to still worship with us. So one of the things we're doing that we've never done before is we will now start broadcasting our Sunday services live. So we've never had a live feed option where you could go to our website or go on our Facebook page or go on our YouTube page and watch the service live, that you would see what those in service see immediately and you would hear what they hear. But your church council has invested a significant amount of capital to make sure that we can do that well. And so you'll be able to watch the worship band. You'll be able to hear announcements and you'll be able to hear the Word of God taught. And so that'll be right on our website. We're ordering in technology for that. And that's something that's not going to go away. One of the things we realized through all of this is that the digital end of the church is our friend. And if we can put the gospel out there onto the internet, if we can put the gospel out there for our folks that have to stay home, and say just in the fall you have a sick kid, or in next January when there's snow on the ground, you don't feel like driving in, we feel like live church is going to be a wonderful thing for people, so that they can sit down on their couch or their sofa, and at 10:30 or whenever services, then at least 10:30 in the beginning, log on and watch us live. The nice thing is then too, it saves the services for at least 90 days in the future. So say you had an appointment, there was a reason you couldn't be able to watch it live, you can circle back that evening or later in the future and watch it live then. So we'll have a little bit of a different feel when we come back. We're going to try and stagger seating in the sanctuary and go to a little bit more checkerboard pattern so that no one's sitting on top of one another. We're going to have 6 touchless hand sanitizer stations that you just put your hand under and you can get what is all now our best friend hand sanitizers. And then let's talk about just a little bit the thing that's caused a lot of controversy in our society, facial coverings. Now, much like the state of Ohio, we are going to take the approach that if you'd like to wear a facial covering, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. At least for a few weeks, I think I'm going to personally, just to try and, again, merge onto the highway and see how people are feeling. I recognize that while I might personally not feel very nervous about the virus at 32 and fairly healthy, there are many in our body who aren't that way, or who are taking care of elderly parents. And so anything I can do to maybe make them feel more comfortable, at least at first, I'm willing to give it a shot. So I might look like a bank robber as I don a bandana when I'm not preaching, but that's okay. I miss worshiping with you guys so much, I'd probably wear a polka dotted suit, and please none of you buy me a polka dotted suit, but just to come back and worship with you in person, I'm willing to give up a lot of my liberties. I just would ask this. This is causing so much division and divisiveness outside of the church. Let's respect each other's conscience in the church. There'll be some who choose to wear masks and some who choose not to, maybe for health reasons that you have no idea about, that a mask makes it very difficult for them. Let's just be respecters of conscience and keep the bond of peace within the church. Which brings me to my final point. There are some of you, and I recognize this, who are not going to be ready to return to service on May 24th. You're either, as I said, high risk, you're immunocompromised, or you simply don't have that comfort level yet coming into a place where there'll likely be 100 or more people. Here's what we need to do and recognize. When you return to worship is between you and God. Everyone must accept their own personal choice and make it for them. That's why we're doing all the work to go online and go live, so that you don't miss out. If you still determine, you know what, the Lord knows my heart, I'm just not ready to be back in service, or I'm taking care of my elderly parent, and if I caught something, I can't do that yet, or frankly, I'm just not ready for people to be around. Because here's the thing, while we're going to go above and beyond to clean, while we're going to go above and beyond to try and social distance, while you'll probably see people en masse and some of those things, I can't guarantee that no one will get sick from a worship gathering here at Salina First. The same way no one can guarantee you won't get sick if you go to Menards or Walmart or now C-Town or CJ's. We're all going to do our best, but the reality is we are living with this coronavirus. So if the idea of someone coming within 6 feet of you terrifies you right now, it's probably not best for you to return to service. If your immune system is compromised and you know, if I get that really wicked virus, if I get that from maybe someone who in the service who has no idea they're carrying it, boy, it could be real bad and scary for me health-wise. And then I just want to say lastly, and I hope this goes without saying, but I want to be on the record as saying it. If you're feeling sick, you need to stay home. I would encourage you, and what my family's going to do, we're going to take our temperatures before we come to service. You might think my allergies are just really acting up today. But if you know you're going to be hacking and coughing and sneezing, and you might make people feel really uncomfortable, at least at first, as we're all just kind of skittish, would you love your brothers and sisters enough to stay home and hop on the live stream? Again, we're just merging on the highway. All of us are coming out of hibernation, and I refuse to argue in the church about coronavirus and what it is and all that stuff, but we all know that this has been a very difficult last few months. So let's just show each other a little extra grace, shall we? So I plan on putting out more information, and of course these plans will evolve, and we have a phased reopening plan because we won't be hosting any events at the church, at least in phase 1, other than the Sunday worship experience, and Pastor Tyler plans to do some Ignite worship experience with our middle school and high school kids, though that's going to look very different too. We won't be hosting graduation parties. We are still technically under a stay-at-home order at that point, and so we are using the religious exemption that Governor DeWine has given all states, or all churches in the state, and I believe you'll begin to see nearly every church in Mercer County come back in the month of May. Because at the end of the day, if it is safe enough, considering that you can go to a restaurant and then go to TJ Maxx and do some shopping, I think we'll all agree that it is essential that the people of God get back and worship, those who are able to and those who feel comfortable doing so. So if you have some questions, go ahead and drop them down in the comments section, or shoot me a text or give me a call. If you still kind of are wondering what this means for you, let me know and we'll walk through that. But we are excited for May 24th. I know I'm counting down the days. I know Jeff, our worship director, is counting down the days, and you guys can imagine how Pastor Tyler feels to get back and worship with y'all. So I can't wait. And again, if you have any other questions, let us know.